Hello, hello. I hope everyone is having a glorious day. And if not, this will totally help because, it's Carl. So anyway, The Ricky Gervais Show, Season 3, Episode 11, Wartime. Ah, yes, a topic I do not like at all. But whatever. It's Carl. It'll be funny. Also, the topic of the title usually has, 3 minutes to do with the video, and then we're all just off about other things. So let's do this. Yay!
Well, Carl, you are officially a published author, and a copy will go in the British Library.
Well, they have to take every rubbish. I think it'll go in the British Library lavatory. From what I understand, it'll be in there with a collection of novelty postcards and maybe a Viz compendium. But,
Yeah, so they take everything. Just think of that.
But why do they do this? Why do they think they've got to keep everything? Because we're living in a world now where everything is sort of binnable, and we use stuff for what it is.
Well,
I think you could say that.
That's fine. That's fine.
There was a sort of poetry to it, but I think he stumbled across that. I don't think it was intentional.
Yeah, right. I still haven't got over him saying foodage.
Do you know what I mean, though? That the world's changed, so why is that rule still hanging around when...
Well, it's not a rule. I mean, it's not a rule that, the country's going to, live and die by. It's just that it is seen as a repository for knowledge, for information, and I don't believe any old Joe can wander in there and get one of these books. I think you have to either be a scholar. I think maybe it's open for a brief window for students, but you can just wander in there and see your own book, Carl.
There are some books that they have to turn the page for you in gloves, so the amino acids.
I'd hate that.
With yours, it won't matter. They just go, it's over there, or they throw it to you.
No, it's just
or they slide it along the floor.
Well, they say, I can't give it to you, Carl, because it's propping up this desk.
Yeah, they kick it to you and say, put it in the bog when you're finished with it.
It's just that thing of being timed, though. I hate it when people go, have you read this? And then I can't read it properly because they're thinking I'm taking ages here. Do you know what I mean? So I have to scan read it. And I go, it's good, that. And they go, what do you think? And I go, about what? So I hate the fact that someone stood there with gloves on, because that isn't normal, relaxing sort of reading, is it?
But it's not, you don't go in to read the Doomsday Book, let's say, in order to just have a relaxing read. You're going in there to study
There
it, historically.
To say they're professors and scholars and scientists and historians. They don't wander in because it's raining and they go, what's a good read?
There's not a man wearing white gloves turning the pages of the latest Jackie Collins.
No, exactly. Do you have heat?
Watching your lips move as you read to see if you can turn
Why
the
is
next
that
page.
pink? Jesus.
I suppose I shouldn't really feel guilty, because at the end of the day, right, I mean, people always rave about Shakespeare, saying, his work was good. But
brilliant.
At the same time...
He'll probably put that on the book when he brings another one out. He'll put your review on it. Yeah. Oh, that was good. Carl Pilkington.
But at the same time, some people will have a go. I'm ready for people having a go, like that Wendy did about me little films I made.
Their opinion. So you didn't hear she slammed Carl.
No, well, each to their own and that. And, if everyone liked the same thing, I don't know what we'd do, right?
Sure.
You don't know anything.
So all I'm saying is, everybody raves about Shakespeare. When, if you properly looked at what he did, he invented a lot of swearing words, right? Effing and jeffing and that. Now,
that was one of his.
Well, it's effing and jeffing and effing and jeffing part 2.
But all I'm saying is, for some reason, when things are brought out years ago, people say they're good even though they're not, is what I mean. When I was watching that documentary about the real Indiana Jones,
brilliant.
They dug out some rocks with drawings on. And they were like, oh, don't damage them, don't mark the paint. And it's like, it's rubbish. It was like a stick fella with a yak. And now, if that was found now, or if a kid showed me that, I'd go, it's not that good. So what I mean is, because stuff's old stuff gets respect.
But you're not judging it on its aesthetic merits, you're judging it on its historical importance.
I don't think that's fair, though, because when that fella drew that, it wasn't old. He did it when he was knocking about.
No, yes, but you must see the difference between you doing
what?
No, but you
what? Drew that.
I just...
He wasn't old.
Why? Why is he in love with the yak? What the hell? Why is he not hunting the yak? What is this? Also, I was aware Carl wrote books, but Carlology, hold on. Carl Carlology. Sure. Kind of to know more or less what it's about. Because, right, I thought the books he did were more about, like, an idiot abroad and stuff like that. I didn't know. Here it says it's his third book, Carlology. And they're saying it's his first one. I guess the first one in the library or whatever. Maybe. I don't know. Happy slapped by a jellyfish. You know what? I want to read that. I want to read them. Why not?
He was knocking about.
No, yes, but you must see the difference between you doing a stick man on a wall with a bit of chalk near your local and a cave painting that they date to 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, so in 10,000 years' time, when they find my story, will it gain more respect then than it is now?
No, less.
But why is it?
Because people will more and more realise what a buffoon you are. The more research we do, the more you expose yourself as an empty, egg-headed moron.
That's a friend speaking right there, Richey Gervais.
Right? Right?
No,
he loves you like a brother.
I just think, you've mentioned him before, Steve, this Peeps fella.
Yes.
Has he done anything else apart from a diary? Because now I've done a book and a diary.
That means you're better than Peeps, is what you're thinking,
well,
isn't it?
I'm not going to say that until I know, but what else did he do?
Well, Peeps wasn't a writer predominantly. I believe he was, like a bureaucrat or something.
I like how he's
but
getting
he kept
mad.
a diary, which has since become a historical landmark.
And what did he say in it?
Well, it's, again, more because it's both well-written and it's also an amazing insight into...
A social document
a social
as well.
document, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a social document
I
of
mean,
that
yours
period.
is a social document, but it sort of revolves around having egg and chips and a cap and seeing a ladybird, which, you know...
But that's today's living. That's
Well,
what I'm saying.
his describes the Great Fire of London, which is what it's
But
best
we haven't
remembered
had
for.
one of them. If we had one, I'd write it down. I'm only writing what's happening. He was just lucky. He was about in London when that happened.
The thing is, if they read your diary, they'd think, well, nothing happened that year. Nothing important in the world happened that year.
Because your diary doesn't just mention... I mean, OK, yes, it does. It fails to mention any disasters in London because we haven't had any. It doesn't mention any world events. It doesn't mention wars in Iraq,
But I don't
terrorism.
need
It doesn't
to
mention
now.
anything.
But that's all being wrote about anyway. If you're saying there's a museum that's keeping everything, there's loads of other books for that. Who's looking at the fella whose skulls fell off?
What?
We see. It's interesting, isn't it? The fella's skull has fell off.
What do you mean? His skull has fell off?
It's something to do with circulation.
But what do you mean his skull fell
Well,
off?
it's in the diary. We
But
might
how
look
can a
at the diary.
skull fall off? Because it's surrounded by tissue and it's got a brain. How can just his skull? How can it detach itself from all the stuff surrounding
He
it?
mislaid all his dreams.
But all I'm saying is that's not getting a look in.
No, because it's not significant or probably true.
Carl, you have the same concepts that you worked out and decided that were true at about 10, I think.
I look at life like a
Box
big
of chocolates?
book. Like a big book.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Right? And, sometimes you get halfway through it and you go, even though I've been enjoying it, I've had enough. Give us another book.
No. Your metaphor, analogy, whatever you're trying to create there, falls down with let's have another book.
Yeah.
No. You can either opt out of life or stick with it till the end. You can't go, be someone else now. You can't do that. I know you think you can, and I think in your world you can, you possibly be injected into an old woman's head when you've had enough and you come out a little baby.
What I mean is, at the moment, my life, I'm going to live to 74, 75, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm probably on page...
Sure.
What am I on? A book that's got about 200...
This is painful, Steve. This is really
weird.
painful. Sorry, carry on.
I'm on.
reading a
I say my
magazine?
book's got 300 pages in it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Few pictures and that.
It's a picture book. That's the great thing about Carl's life. It's a book for children.
It's a pop-up book.
I knew it.
Every page he pops in, he goes, all right.
All right.
I'm probably on page about 170.
Yeah.
That's so specific. He's going to die at 74. He's reading a book with a few pictures in with 300 pages and he's on 170. Go on then.
So, right, if the book was too thick, right, and there was loads more pages
Let me tell you,
left,
this book is way too thick.
If the book was more thick, yeah.
The book could not be thicker.
If there was loads more pages left, I'd go, I can't be bothered reading on.
Right. Okay,
But
let him finish the
But he must
analogy.
have known that when he saw the book. You
You've
don't.
got to finish this analogy,
Right.
otherwise we're going to be here all night.
Listen, he must have known how many pages there were when he got the book out of the library.
Yeah, but the way they write books, they're painting pictures more at the beginning, you're going, this is good. And then it gets a bit boring as it goes on, doesn't it?
Okay, well that works. So you're saying that you were young.
No, it doesn't work.
Well,
Well, you just accepted that
no.
that's what all books are like.
No, but there's a little bit of poetry in that because he's actually saying that when he was young, his whole life was ahead of him. He couldn't wait the whole world, the promise that he was given of this world, and now he's a bit jaded and he's more cynical, and he realises that the world hasn't got as much to offer him as he thought it was. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh my god. This episode is so far extremely frustrating because I understand everything Carl's saying. I understand what he's coming from a lot of things. But it's again his communication issues and his problems to communicate, and that these bastards are just laughing their asses off and won't let him finish and just make fun of him. So it makes it even harder. Not only can he not express himself well, they just make it worse and harder and more difficult and just, but I had so many things. I thought they were going to stick on the topic of, the historical pictures and the historical facts, and he's saying it's important because it's old, but sometimes it's not good, and because he had a point there, and I thought they were going to stick with that, and they just kind of leaned in so hard that he's a moron that I just kind of lost it, but whatever.
Carl, you like sayings, don't you? Got a list here of some of the sayings and phrases that Shakespeare made up, really. In a pickle was his.
Yeah.
And we know what in a pickle means.
We know what it means. It's a saying I'd never use. Because when you're in a pickle, it's not something that you would say.
No, if you're being if you're captured and you're being tortured for information, you wouldn't, and you get access to a phone, you wouldn't go, MI5, I'm in a pickle. You'd be screaming, going,
You're taking my teeth now. While you've been talking about that, I just was looking on the computer at the Pun of the Day website. Here's a couple that you might like. There was a sign on the lawn at a drug rehab centre that said, keep off the grass.
Okay, now if the pun is the lowest form of wit, and let's face it, sarcasm isn't, sarcasm is up there compared to the pun, then the drug pun, I think, is one of the lowest of the low. Oh, people who congratulate themselves on getting drug references. Keep off the grass, will you? Grass, get it? Grass. You're smoking the grass. Yeah. I think pun should be short for punch him in the mouth.
Idioms are better.
Go on then, what's an idiom?
Go on.
Is that a new word you made up?
No,
As in Carl Pilkington's a complete idiom.
I found out what it was because I thought, I like them, what are they?
Right.
And it's like little sayings.
Yeah, that's right.
That sum stuff up.
Go on, give us an example of your favourite.
Oh, can I just say one? Talking about sayings, Carl was getting fed up with something. He was fed up with not getting replies from something. He's having a hard time, And I went, oh, the worm has turned. He went, what? I went, the worm has turned. You've
Stupid saying, isn't it?
No, okay. Tell him why you think that's a stupid saying.
Because how do you know when a worm's turned? Of all the creatures that you could flip over and know it's turned, why pick a worm?
I've never heard of it, so I don't even know what it means.
It's the worst thing they could have picked to express something turning.
But you're taking turning literally. It means changing, doesn't it? Changing your attitude. A new broom, turning over a new leaf.
Yeah, but
things are going to be
something that
different now, and I'm
changes.
sick of it.
Chameleon.
No, but
Chameleon is a brilliant thing to use for something to change. Chuck that in the sentence. There's nothing that you can link a worm to human life to. You're talking about something it's blind, isn't it? It's blind, it's deaf.
Gay.
It's got no features.
Why is he having such a go at a worm?
Just because it's a weird thing to use. Something that its arse does more than its head.
That could be said of you, Carl, to be fair.
Oh. right.
Chimpanzee's that? He's gone and written it down again.
I feel like they haven't shared anything from Carl's
Just
diary
reading
in
excerpts
a
of
long
Carl's
time.
diary. Went home and looked up Freud on the internet. Didn't find him that interesting, so looked at some other philosophers instead. Socrates, Aristotle. Lao Tzu from years ago came up with some good stuff. 1, he who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. Not entirely true. To lead people, walk behind them.
Yeah.
And of course, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.
Yeah, good that.
Maybe this is why people are at the start line spectating at the Commonwealth Games.
Well, no, it's just that I've never understood why in Olympics and stuff like that, if you're going to watch, don't stand around the start line, go to the end where you see the winner. But because of that saying, it actually makes sense. And then it's like, well, every step starts with a step or whatever.
Say it again.
Every race, you know, you've got to start with a step.
Yeah.
If you want to stay at the start line, do.
What is that?
Every step starts with a step is a wonderful t-shirt. Dude, I'm going to make these t-shirts one day. One of these days.
I'm just saying, if you're into... I wouldn't watch a race, right?
Okay.
But all I'm saying is,
Right.
if I was to watch a race,
Yeah.
I wouldn't hang about the start line, because...
Well, you just said you would.
What, did I?
Yeah, you said that's the place to start because every race starts with a step.
No, but I wouldn't normally. When I was on holiday,
Yeah.
Suzanne said there's a race going on down the road.
Yeah.
I'd go, well, let's go, keep going down the road and stand at the finish line.
Okay, but now what have
according
you
to
thought?
Lazoo,
Yeah.
I'd say, well, hang on a minute, every race starts with a single step.
Yeah.
How many people around the start line? Is there more room there? She goes, yeah. I'll go, let's go there then, it's less busy.
Right. And what would you see there then?
I'd see people starting the race, but I wouldn't be that impressed with them because I'd go, well, I don't know if any of these are any good.
So would you start at the start or the end then?
If it was down to me, I'd just probably
Go home and take a
stay
nap.
at the finish line.
Okay. So you wouldn't want to see the first step then. So what
Not
do you think of Lazoo now then?
I preferred the leading people from behind.
Okay. And what would you do to lead someone now then?
Well, if you're behind, you don't have to take responsibility, do you? You can go, well, I didn't send you where you went there.
That's not really leading them, though, is it?
Nope.
Yeah, because I've made them think. I've gone, they go, oh, I've just walked into a big hole. I'd go, oh, should have been looking where you're going. I haven't led them in that hole, but they've learnt a lesson. They won't go in a hole again.
That was one of the greatest conversations I've ever been a part of. I mean, that was incredible.
Right?
Never mind Aristotle and Socrates. That was incredible, That was incredible, Carl.
Wow, that was a
One
change
of
in-
the
That was incredible, Carl.
Okay.
one of the key catchphrases, if you like, from the war, Carl, was of course keep the home fires burning.
Is that like saying you're away, but don't worry, when you come home, the house is warm?
Pretty much.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Never forget where you're from. We're remembering
We're
you.
here, waiting for you.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't say what it means. So there's you know, risking your life, and you're getting a letter from home saying we've got the heating on. Again, working hard, paying the bills, they've got the heating blaring. Put your coat on. Start panicking, we're keeping the home fires burning. What? I didn't know, what do you mean, what fire? When have we had that in? I thought we had central heating. Who's she got in? Who's this bloke who's moved in, changed the heating system? It's all extra hassle. Do you know, this is why it's best not hearing from people.
Go on.
I was
Brilliant.
in the jungle, wasn't
Yeah.
I? Right?
Okay.
For this programme. Suzanne.
It should explain that Carl wasn't on manoeuvres. We sent Carl around the world for a programme.
Well, hang on, though. I want to hear about the fact he was in the jungle and he didn't want to hear anything from home because...
No, on a lot of the trips, I had a phone now and again, so I could call Suzanne. When I was in the jungle, I was out of contact for like 5 days. Nothing. Didn't know what was going on where. Right?
Right.
I get out of the jungle. I call Suzanne up. Everything all right? Yeah. What bills have we got? And then I said, how was it? And she said, it was reassuring. It was all right, and it's reassuring that if you died, it'd be all right.
What?
That was from Suzanne.
What do you mean?
Because
Oh.
it was
She
like I was
handled
dead
herself
for
for
5
5
days. She said things weren't that bad. I I still got stuff sorted out. It's reassuring.
She said what?
Right?
She said you called her up after 5 days of being in the jungle, eating grubs and having things try to climb up your knob.
Yeah, surviving.
Right.
There's me, the first phone call I get, I put the phone on. I'm going to call Suzanne, let her know I'm all right.
Sorry, you could get the phone calls in the jungle, but you didn't want it. What do you mean you turned the phone? I thought you meant you were...
No, it was off because there's no signal.
You got out of the jungle.
I
You
love that they're showing the camera and like the little director's chair. He's talking about it like if it were actually a survival thing, and dude, we know it wasn't.
Jungle,
Right.
put the phone on,
Yeah.
thinking, right, I'll call Suzanne, let her know I'm all right. I've been to Ellen back here. Call her up, everything all right. You know, what's it been like? I said, that's the longest we've ever
fine.
gone, isn't it? I don't think I've ever gone 24 hours without talking to her for 17 years. Suddenly, there's a week when I'm not talking to her.
Yeah.
She goes, yeah, it started off weird, but it's reassuring that if you were dead, I can handle it. But she said, I sorted everything out still. I could handle it if you weren't here.
What offended you most? The
Just
the
like
fact that you did that you
What?
want her to be dependent on you, or the fact that you realise you make no difference at all in her life.
Well, it's a bit annoying, isn't it? They forget, don't they? The bills weren't as piling up as much as they normally do. That's the only thing they ever get through the door. You know, when there's a postal strike, carry on. I'm not interested. You're only bringing bills to the door anyway. Carry on striking. There wasn't that much post. There wasn't that...
Like 5 days isn't enough to actually feel what it's like to not have that person around. 5 days. 5 days is easy too because you're like, I got this. I'm king of the world. I'm king of this apartment or this house or whatever. It's good. I got it. I can prove to myself. But after those 5 days, when it's a lot longer, every day sucks more. And yeah, 5 days is easy. But I feel like if Suzanne had more time, she would have realized it ain't that great, Carl. You know, his DIYs would be missed. Probably. I don't know how good he is at them, but I assume good enough. I don't know.
Many bills to sort out. There wasn't problems with the boiler. She's forgetting all this. So I'd like to go back in the jungle, just as the boiler's sort of, the flame started to flicker, and about to go out. Let's see you then. That's what I'd say to any soldiers listening to this before you leave home.
Yeah.
Just leave everything. Break a few things, don't pay the bills, and then go. And they'll miss you more.
Yeah, well, that's great advice to people overseas. Let me just reiterate that. Next time, when you come home, have a great time with your wife and kids. See your mum and dad and your family. But then, when you've just got to go back into active service, just smash the place into shit everywhere. Thanks.
All right.
Carl, what's your thoughts on poetry?
I've never really been a fan of it.
There's a surprise.
It's sold in a bad light. It's a bit bit gay, isn't it? I mean, it depends what sort you're talking about, because maybe there's poetry out there that I haven't heard.
There's some poetry gayer than others.
Yeah.
War poetry can't be gay, can it? That was
I
people.
haven't heard. Go on.
People fighting in the trenches and can't be gay. They weren't gay. They were writing to their sweetheart. I don't know his name. Might have been a bloke. I don't know. But
So was it a sort of a, what sort of poem was it? Was it sort of a limerick, sort of a...
no, it was. Well, there's famous ones, Wilfred Owen and Siegfried Sassoon, and they're very moving. They're about, what usually happens is that they talk about why are we here. This is, we've been sold a lie here, and they really started seeing war in a different light from their point of view in the trenches. Famously, some of them died soon after the,
But I prefer
they'd written the poem.
a proper letter. No sort of crypticness. That's the problem with poems.
Okay, so you'd have been disappointed to get Dolce et Decorum S through the post, would you? You'd have just said, what are you trying to say, mate? What's the weather like? When you're coming home? Did you get my socks?
Well, yeah, sometimes life is a bit like that, and it's like, say what you mean.
Right. Well, then you have just wiped all art off the face of the earth.
Right.
If you literally just say what you mean.
No, I'm just saying in a letter. Say if I was a woman and my fella was fighting in a war.
Right.
Okay.
What's your fella's name?
Harry.
Okay, so Harry... Oh, that's right. So when were you married?
About 1935.
I love
1935. So you've been...
I love thinks this stuff through, and he's very specific. Like the book, the book of the life of Carl Pilkington has 300 pages because he's gonna die at 74, 75, and he's on page like it's all so specific. I love it.
1935.
1935. So you've been married about 4 years.
Yeah.
Harry, why don't you go off? Oh, you're a woman, aren't you? You don't. Okay. So what did you see in Harry? Why did you like Harry? Was he
He just was like funny.
butch?
He wasn't that butch, but that
No.
didn't matter back then, did it? In the war,
No. And
he took everyone.
But what did you say when Harry was said to you?
Whoa!
Well, I thought it was coming because a lot of our friends
Right.
ended up having
Did you
to
just
go
hug him and say "Don't go" or something?
No point, because that would have just made it tough for him. So, what's the point? Just go with it.
But if he
I
had
cried
written,
after he went.
you cried after he went.
That's what you do, innit? You wouldn't do it in front of him. He's got to go to battle.
Okay. So your man goes off to battle.
Right. Then I get a letter from the Colonel saying, "Oh, bit of bad news. Harry's dead." Now I get a letter in the post.
He said what he meant, didn't he? In the
I was thinking
and
that,
they would
yep.
do, wouldn't they? They wouldn't fanny around saying,
Very
"Oh,
specific.
he was on the warpath and the cloud went dark." I go, "What? Just tell me what happened. I don't want a weather forecast."
he got shot at the arse and the bullet came out his head.
Right.
Right.
Now, the Colonel, he would just tell me the basics. Now, because he sent his by
Telegram.
Mail.
telegram, they sent a telegram. The letter I get from Harry has been stamped, so I get it late.
Oh, okay.
So I get a letter from Harry after he's died.
Yeah.
Right, and you know he's dead.
I know he's dead, so I get
Right.
this letter with his handwriting on. I'm devastated because I was just getting over his death.
Yeah.
It's all brought back to me when this letter drops through the post.
Well, yeah, 3
Right.
days and you're pretty much over it.
It's Harry's handwriting.
Yeah.
Oh God, what's this?
What's
now
he
I
written?
open it,
Yeah.
and instead of saying things are bad here, socks are damp, everything's grim, it's cold, I'm sick of it. There's a poem. It wouldn't feel like it was from Harry.
Well,
Because it's not in his words. Poems are never in the person's words.
But didn't you know Harry was a poet when you married him and made love to him?
Right.
that
I
night?
picked it up because other people were doing it. Something to do in the trenches.
But when he carried you over the threshold, Carl, and he laid you down and gently.
Oh, something to do in the trenches. All right.
Doing it. Something to do in the trenches.
But when he carried you over the threshold, Carl, and he laid you down and gently kissed you, didn't he say any? Didn't he ever? Shoot.
He must have whispered some sweet nothings into
No,
your
it wasn't
hysterical
like
red
that. It
head.
wasn't
No,
like that. Straight
no.
to the point. It was like, get your knickers off.
That's one of the weirdest fucking scenarios
Right?
I've ever heard. Why was the telegram coming before the letter? So
Because the letter was stamped. Are you kidding me? Also, oh my God, can you imagine like the actual situation he's describing? Receiving a poem would be so much better than receiving a letter saying how freaking miserable he was. That just make you feel terrible. But a freaking poem would be nice. What? Oh my God.
it wasn't like Harry. The fuck's Harry?
What?
Why was the telegram coming before the letter? So specific. It wasn't like Harry. The fuck's Harry? Oh God.
Wow. I like the endings. The endings are getting better and better. The way they just cut it off is brilliant. But what the hell, man? I love the specifics when he has to like make stuff up or role play or all that. It's very, very specific, but like extremely specific. Oh boy. Wow. Sometimes Carl gets to an episode and you're like, wow, this guy's actually smart and they just don't understand him. And then you get episodes like this where, he's hard to defend sometimes. I like defending him and stuff because I understand the man, but sometimes they're harder than others. Anyway, that was fun. It always is. So there you go. Ta-da. Oh, this is coming to an end. I think I have 2 more. But then I will most likely listen to I don't know if it's because I thought the XFM podcast thing was the thing, but there's like two things. There's the podcast and then there's the radio show. I don't know. I'm going to listen to something. I will obviously continue this because these three just talking about anything, it was absolutely hilarious and I'm totally into it and I like it. So I will. I know I got the Rockbusters. There's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of stuff. So naturally, I'll start somewhere. I'll find somewhere proper, but yeah, I will. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. You have been a fabulous audience. I hope you enjoyed. And whatever you have to do, have a fantabulous one. Thank you for everything. I am off. Good night and goodbye.